The change is instant. There is no countdown, no global announcement, no visible warning in the sky. Earth simply stops spinning. At first, most people do not understand what has happened. There is no loud sound, no blinding flash. For a fraction of a second, everything seems normal. Then the motion continues. Not the planets, but everything on it. At the equator, Earth had been rotating at over 1,600 kilometers per hour. When the planet stops, that momentum does not disappear. Oceans, atmosphere, buildings, people, all of it keeps moving eastward at the original speed. The result is immediate and catastrophic. Cities are torn apart in seconds. Buildings shear from their foundations. Skyscrapers collapse sideways as if pushed by an invisible force. Vehicles are thrown through the air. People are flung across streets, unable to react or brace themselves. Near the equator, survival is almost impossible. The ground becomes a weapon. Anything not anchored deep into bedrock is ripped away. Entire urban regions are erased in moments, reduced to debris swept eastward by unstoppable inertia. The oceans behave like liquid continents. Water surges across the surface at hundreds of kilometers per hour, forming global megatsunamis that race eastward. Coastlines vanish. Islands are swallowed. Entire marine ecosystems are obliterated as seawater slams into land with unimaginable force. The atmosphere follows. Winds accelerate instantly to supersonic speeds. The air itself becomes a destructive force, stripping soil, forests, and structures from the surface. Anything exposed is shredded by debris-filled hurricanes that circle the planet in hours. Inland regions fare little better. Even far from the equator, the sudden loss of rotation causes violent seismic stress. Earth's crust shifts unevenly as centrifugal forces vanish. Massive earthquakes ripple across continents. Volcanoes awaken as pressure redistributes beneath the surface. The sky becomes chaos. Clouds race eastward faster than sound. The pressure difference triggers shock waves in the atmosphere. Thunder is constant. Lightning flashes without pause as electrical imbalances surge through the storm systems. Within minutes, billions are dead. Not from fire or radiation, but from motion. The planet has not exploded. It has slammed everything on its surface sideways at lethal speed. Then, slowly, something else becomes apparent. The wind begins to slow. The oceans settle, though coastlines are unrecognizable. Debris blankets the land. Silence creeps in where sound once screamed. Earth is no longer rotating. Day and night change forever. One side of the planet now faces the sun constantly. The other is locked in endless darkness. There is no sunrise, no sunset, no movement of the sky. Temperatures begin to diverge rapidly. The sunlit side heats relentlessly. Deserts form within days as constant solar radiation bakes the surface. The dark side loses heat continuously, plunging toward deep freeze. Ice spreads outward from the permanent night. Between them lies a narrow band, the twilight zone, a ring of dim, perpetual dusk where temperatures might remain survivable. Winds flow endlessly from the hot side to the cold side, creating global storms that never end. Gravity has not changed, but balance has. The oceans begin to migrate. Without rotation, water slowly flows toward the poles, pulled by gravity alone. Sea levels drop near the equator and rise near the poles, reshaping the planet over years. Former seabeds are exposed. New polar oceans deepen. Humanity is shattered. Governments no longer exist as organized systems. Communication is fractured. Power grids are destroyed. Survivors are scattered, injured, traumatized, and struggling to understand a world that no longer behaves as it should. Time itself feels broken. Calendars lose meaning. Days no longer pass. The sun hangs motionless in the sky. Sleep patterns collapse. Psychology phrase as the most basic rhythm of existence disappears. Scientists who survive reach a terrifying conclusion. Earth's rotation was not just motion. It was climate control. It was weather regulation. It was the reason life evolved the way it did. Without rotation, the planet is no longer a dynamic system. It is a divided world, half burning, half freezing, scarred by the violence of sudden stillness. And this is only the beginning of what happens when Earth suddenly stops rotating. As days turn into weeks, the violence of the initial catastrophe fades, replaced by a slower, more merciless transformation of the planet. The world no longer destroys itself in seconds. It reshapes itself relentlessly. The division of Earth becomes absolute. One hemisphere remains locked in permanent daylight. The sun never moves. It hangs in the sky like a burning wound, pouring endless energy onto the surface. Temperatures rise steadily. Oceans near the subsolar point begin to boil at the surface. Moisture evaporates faster than it can circulate, creating vast, dry wastelands. The opposite side of the planet is condemned to eternal night. Without sunlight, temperatures plummet. The atmosphere cools, thickens, and sinks. Snow and ice spread endlessly. Glaciers creep across continents, burying cities, forests, and mountains beneath kilometers of ice. The dark side becomes a frozen tomb. Between these two extremes lies the only potentially habitable region, the Terminator Zone. This narrow ring of perpetual twilight becomes humanity's last refuge. Temperatures here remain marginally stable. Sunlight is weak but constant. Ice does not fully dominate, and heat does not completely destroy. Survivors slowly migrate toward this zone, driven by necessity rather than choice. But reaching it is brutal. Global winds never stop. Air flows constantly from the scorching day side toward the frozen night side, creating planetary-scale storms. Winds reach hurricane strength and never weaken. Travel is dangerous. Structures must be built low and reinforced. Fire is difficult to control. Agriculture struggles under relentless atmospheric pressure. The oceans continue to reorganize. Water flows toward the poles, forming deep polar seas and exposing vast equatorial seabeds. Salt flats spread where oceans once existed. Marine ecosystems collapse almost entirely, surviving only in narrow bands where temperature and pressure remain tolerable. Rainfall patterns become extreme. On the day side, evaporation creates towering cloud systems, but rain rarely reaches the ground. On the night side, snowfall accumulates endlessly. In the twilight zone, violent storms alternate between flooding rains and freezing sleet. Life adapts barely. Plants capable of surviving low light begin to dominate. Photosynthesis slows dramatically. Growth is stunted. Food production becomes fragile and inefficient. Humanity survives on limited crops, algae, fungi, and artificial systems. Animal life is almost entirely gone. Large ecosystems cannot survive such instability. Only small, adaptable species remain. Biodiversity collapses to a fraction of what once existed. Human society fragments. There are no nations, no global coordination. Communities form around survival zones, competing for land, water, and shelter. Knowledge is preserved unevenly. Technology stagnates as maintaining existing systems consumes all available energy. Psychologically, humanity is transformed. Without day and night, time loses meaning. Sleep cycles are artificial. Circadian rhythms are imposed by machines and schedules, not nature. Depression and dissociation spread as people live under a sky that never changes. Generations are born into a world without sunrise or sunset. For them, stories of a rotating Earth sound like myth. A moving sky becomes legend. The idea that the sun once traveled across the heavens feels impossible. Geologically, Earth stabilizes into its new state. Volcanic activity decreases. Seismic events become less frequent. The planet settles into a static configuration, hostile but stable enough to persist. Humanity does not go extinct immediately. It survives in a thin ring around the planet, clinging to balance between fire and ice. But something essential is lost. Earth was once alive with motion. Rotation shaped weather, oceans, biology, and time itself. Without it, the planet becomes a world of extremes, frozen in place, locked between two eternal states. The final realization is devastating in its simplicity. Earth did not need to explode to become unrecognizable. It only needed to stop moving. And in that stillness, life continues, smaller, weaker, and forever confined to the narrow edge between burning light and endless dark.